This is just Kimbely. Here, we honor the pivots of life as moments of learning and transformation. I'm Kimbely, and together we'll explore the practice of cultivating clarity, resilience, and grace with every step forward. This is your invitation to slow down, listen in, and find meaning in the unexpected. Welcome to the Just Kimbely Show. Today, I'm here with my dear friend Adam. Adam, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So excited to have you here.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So today we're talking about pivoting careers and our Life 2.0. We're at that season and stage of life, which is so fun.
Yep.
And we've had the opportunity to know each other as community members, as well as sharing some fun time on the swim decks with our daughters as swimmers as well. So as we explore life's next chapters and reinvention of ourselves, of our families as they continue to grow and stretch, it definitely takes courage. And then also aligning with like what our personal values are, our family values are, how we're connected into our community, as well, really just our overall personal growth. So I'd like to start by setting the stage.
All right.
And then we'll kind of go from there. So you've always been deeply tied to the community. So looking back on your early career, what moments or values helped you shape who you are today?
Yeah.
You can really take that anywhere you want.
Okay. Well, if I go early career, right, which is probably a good place to start.
Yeah.
My early career was a very blue collar. In fact, literally blue collar. We wore denim shirts, right? So like literally blue collar.
Yeah.
And I was a cable guy, right? And it was a job that I took. Really, I thought at the time as a summer job. It was not supposed to be a long-term thing, and it turned into a 30-year career.
Wow.
Right? 29.
Yeah,
but I say 30.
But still, yeah.
It turned into a 29-year career. And it was not, work that I had aspired to or dreamt of as a kid,
Sure.
But it was work. And but what I learned through that, I learned a couple of things. I learned that I really get a lot of my satisfaction and frankly probably my identity to an extent from being able to help people, right? And I think and I think I learned that like no matter what kind of work you're doing, there is an opportunity to help, right?
100%.
And to make a job that maybe on the surface, like I wasn't a doctor or a lawyer, I wasn't doing something important, air quotes, but
individual's livelihood, that's huge.
But you can find importance in the work that you do,
Yes.
And so I think I learned that, and I think I learned that people really just want to be heard, right? And so again, as a cable guy, you're walking into situations where you're only there because people are upset, right?
Yeah.
They're angry. Things don't work. They had to deal with call centers. Everything's expensive. They're upset, and you can get really far by just listening to people, right? And making them feel validated, right? And just giving them kind of that space to communicate to you. And then if you can help them on top of it, you can really make a difference for people. And so that's what I took from my early career, was that there are ways to find meaning in things that maybe on the surface don't really seem all that important. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
So would you say that that's the biggest value that you carry with you into today from your earlier parts of your career?
100%. Yeah. I think that I kept that, so like I said, I stayed there 29 years and I had a bunch of different jobs within there, mostly in leadership positions,
Yes.
and mostly, not mostly, exclusively technical positions. But I was never really all that technical, Like what I did was I tried to take care of my people, my teams, right? And take that same idea of wanting to hear them, right? And help them and like remove obstacles for them.
Value them, let them be seen, let them be heard.
And then just stay the heck out of their way and let them work, right? That's what I did. And it absolutely applies. And so, so that was a super valuable thing for me to learn because I think that works no matter what you're doing.
Oh, I love that. I think that goes into every stage and phase of life for sure. Family, community, and creativity have been part of your story. Yeah. How have they influenced the way that you approach new opportunities?
Well, I mean, family's probably the easiest one, right? Like the easiest one to kind of articulate. I think early on, right, in a career or in kind of your journey through adulthood, I think early on you're just trying to take care of your family, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to, it's survival mode, right? It's how do I keep a roof over their head? How do I feed them? How do I pay for daycare? How do I get them to school? Who's watching them after school? And you're just, I think, at least for me, I think everything is focused on kind of keeping your head down and keeping this family going, right? Just keeping this train moving, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's early. And frankly, for me at that point in my life, community was not something that was like at the front of my mind. I was benefiting from it, but I don't think that I had the capacity to give back or to even fully appreciate what it was providing me. You know what I mean?
But you grew into that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And so
yeah.
now, as you kind of go through life and things change, family still stays
At the core. Yeah, that's
absolutely. It's still the most important thing. But now, instead of like, how do I just keep it moving? It's, how do I maximize this time? How do I make sure that they know how I feel about them? How do I show them that I love them, right?
Yeah.
And how do I just make the most of what we have together, right? But then you also have that capacity to look at your community and what it has actually provided to you, and hopefully, I'm working on this now, but hopefully find some ways to start giving back.
Well, and you have. And I mean, I think you have such a special partner. You guys have been together since you were young, right? So young.
Teenagers, yeah.
So teenagers.
Yeah.
But you've both made such impacts positively in the community. Yeah. And I think that makes it even stronger to be able to give back at the high levels that you do, which is really exciting.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, that's 100%. So great.
Yeah.
So let's go into the second segment.
Yeah, let's do
pivot,
it.
Because we pivot with grace,
I'm a heck of a pivoter these days.
Okay.
I'm ready. That's all I do. Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. Well, I think we always do. I think that's part of life, and that's the enjoying the ride, right? Finding the joy in each of the pivots.
Right.
And some of them can sting. Some of them are exciting. Some of them are like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get there. But it's and everything in between.
Right.
So many people reach a point where they feel called to pivot.
Yep.
So what inspired your shift into the next season of your career? And I think through life, we might have many different careers, right?
Right.
But maybe your initial pivot from that 29-year career, what was that aha moment or that, oh, I see this other opportunity that I want to go ahead and make that pivot?
Right. I've thought about that a lot because I did make such a drastic change. I went from the telecommunications industry for from the time I was in my early 20s to the time I was in my early 50s. Right. It was a huge chunk of my life, and then I pivoted. Right, and I went into a real estate career, and so particularly people that I used to work with will ask me quite a bit, what was that?
Yeah.
And it wasn't a flashpoint. It wasn't like this lightning bolt moment where I slammed my fist on the table, and I'm like, I'm out of here, see you later. It wasn't that. It was, for me, it was probably several years of buildup, of recognizing that what I was doing was no longer serving me,
Yeah.
And I don't say this flippantly, I'm not trying to be funny. At the end, I literally became convinced that I was going to die at that job, and I mean, for real, I wasn't taking care of the stress levels were so bad, I wasn't taking care of myself. I was having chest pains at work, and I kept looking around thinking
what am I doing?
Yeah, this is going to be the this is the room. This
my
is
wife's
it.
going to get a call, and I'm going to be here.
Yeah, and it was that, and and I'm not proud of this, but it was so kind of overwhelming for me that I wasn't. I wasn't who I wanted to be. You know what I mean? I wasn't the husband I wanted to be. I wasn't the father I wanted to be.
Okay.
It just wasn't. It just wasn't serving me. And then the last thing, I think probably was the real deal breaker. And I've stolen this idea from a buddy of mine. But I was wishing away time, and I got this buddy, and he says it all the time. He's like, just don't wish away time, because I was 51 or 50, whatever I was, in my early 50s. And I kept thinking to myself, man, if I can just hold on for 10 more years, if I can hold on for 10 more years, I can retire, And I just, I wanted to fast forward 10 years. And then you have that realization, these might be my best 10 years left, if I even have 10 years.
Right.
And am I really wishing that I could snap my fingers and my kids will be in their 20s and 30s and I'll be in my 60s and my parents would they even still be here or will they be in their 80s? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm that's just no way to live. And so for me, it was just, and I know how dramatic that sounds, but that's how I felt.
You're being real.
That's how I felt.
You're being real. Yeah.
That's where it was. And so I just kind of reached a point where it just wasn't sustainable. One way or the other, something had to change for me,
And so when you made the decision, then what? You just went in one day and you were like, I think it's time to go.
I did.
Okay.
And
and
I did. I went in one day and Wendy and I had talked about it a lot. Poor Wendy, my wife, as you know. Yeah. Poor Wendy had heard me talk about this I don't know how many times for how many years. And so we had discussed it, and I think between the two of us, we had sort of decided that at some point it was going to happen.
Okay.
And I was sitting there one day, and I was just looking around, and I hadn't necessarily intended to do it that day, but it was almost like an out of body experience, and it was hard because again, it was so much of my life. And to be clear, that job and that place served me very well for a very long time. It really did.
Yeah.
But it just didn't, and I just had this moment, and I'm like I can't, I can't do it. And so I got up and I went and I talked to my boss, and if I'm honest, we both cried a little bit. It was really emotional.
Yeah.
And I hugged him and I left.
Were you surprised with yourself? What was the rest of the day like? That just happened.
Yeah, it took a few days to settle in. It did. Okay. And at the time my commute was over an hour, so I had a nice long drive home to think about it. And I was like, I'm sure I'll be fine by the time I get home. But it probably took a week till it set in, and then I didn't know this was a real thing. I actually felt the weight come off my shoulders. I physically felt it. I was out for a walk, and all of a sudden I was like, hey, wait a minute. So it was that simple.
I think viewers can take a lot from that. You know what I mean? I think what you have talked through, a lot of people have had their own variety of that. Yeah. So thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that, because there's pieces of that could surprise you the most about having had gone through it, but then you have, and then here you sit on the other side of that being like, wow, and now hey, you could pivot all the time and any time.
I joke,
in the sense of where are you most valuable and what work is most valuable to you, and to be able to assess that probably in much quicker of time than you would previous.
That's 100% true.
Yeah.
It's 100% accurate.
So learning so much from that.
Yep.
So change can feel risky but exciting.
Yep.
So how would you say that you balance courage and practicality in making your transition? So I think a lot of support you mentioned from Wendy, your beautiful wife, but how else?
So I am very fortunate to be married to maybe the most supportive person on the planet.
You could just see that you guys are bestest of friends.
Yeah, we
do
pretty good. We do pretty good.
Yeah.
So I was definitely stuck in the practical. I was definitely stuck, right? Because, I think I wound up, and I didn't mean to turn this into a therapy session, but here we are.
No, it's not. And it's about, Pivoting with Grace is all about, about we learn from each other.
Right.
We learn from each other, and everybody's journey is special to them. So,
right. I was so stuck on the practical side, right? All I could think about was, I make a decent living. It's predictable. I've got insurance. I've got a 401k, and all those things are true, and all those things actually do have value, right?
Yeah,
so
sure.
I wasn't making it up. But I think what wound up happening was I also wound up putting a lot of my own identity into suffering for the sake of my family. You know what I mean? They all knew I was miserable, but at least I was miserable for a
purpose
cause,
of
you know what
caring
I mean?
for them. Yeah, I
and
get
so I think I might have been stuck there forever, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And so the courage came from Wendy, and I'll never forget it. We were sitting on the couch downstairs, and we were talking through this probably for the 100th time, and it was like a cheesy movie scene. Like she put her hand on my arm, right,
Aww.
and she made like this really meaningful eye contact,
Yeah.
right, and she's like, Adam, she's like, I need you to do this, and then I was like,
So she was helping hold up that mirror.
100%.
Yeah.
So when she said that, all of a sudden, I've got all the courage in the world, and I'm hearing like the Rocky theme in my head, and I'm like, we
like
can
gave
do
you
this.
the strength. Yeah, like we're in this together.
We can do this, and so
it's beautiful.
I needed that. That wasn't at the time. That wasn't in me. I needed that externally.
Yes.
Once I got that from her, the interesting thing is it stayed there. Like it's still there. But I needed that push. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it by myself.
And how special, because it takes it really takes one person, but to have that one person that is your person who lives under the same roof with you to be able to do that. So to kind of give you that guttural, like, I've got this, that whole strength.
Yep.
That's special.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it, love it, love it. So let's talk about community and creativity, connection, those sort of things. So you appear to have a creative spark to me. I've watched you be a consummate problem solver in some large rooms, small rooms, but always looking at like how to get to like what the solution is to care for people, to care for whoever it is you're serving. So it could be family, it could be community, it could be small room of individuals, anything, whatever it is.
Yep.
But that creative spark, how do you bring creativity to like your work now? So like you've redesigned a little bit of who you are personally, professionally.
Yep.
You'll continue to do that through life.
Yep.
How do you bring creativity to Adam today?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate what you said, because I don't think that I am particularly creative, like in the like the artistic sense, right? Like
Wendy's
I
got that
don't,
covered.
Yeah, Wendy's got it. But like, I don't have those kind of, like, I'm not,
Sure.
I don't have those kind of abilities. I do think that I am a creative thinker and problem solver. I think where my creativity really lies is in being able to see multiple perspectives at the same time. I'm not somebody who is married to my own idea and is going to like fight like crazy if if you give me some new information, I'll change my mind. If I'm wrong, like I can change my mind, and I do think when I'm making decisions or when I'm looking at problems, I think I truly am seeing it from 4 or 5 different perspectives, and I try to wrap all those up. And so, like, in terms of how I use that now, like in the in the real estate world, I mean, I almost think it's a superpower. You know what I mean? Because most of what we're doing is reading people, right, and then making decisions, and then negotiating, right. And so, I think my ability to have a conversation with somebody, kind of get to the root of what their actual pain point is, what they truly are trying to accomplish, right? And then helping them kind of make decisions in order to accomplish that goal, right? And sometimes that means, coming in and being really firm, but sometimes you have to think, all right, well, if we come in with a, hey, final offer, take it or leave it right off the bat, we can do that, right? But let's think for a minute about how that's going to be read by the people that we're trying to negotiate with. Let's think if that's how we want to present. We might, but we might not. And let's kind of talk through all that, and let's make sure that we're making a decision that is going to get us closer to our actual goal. So, like I said, if I have creativity, I think I do think that it's there. I think
you do, and so I was like, bring you there.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you started talking about just early days as a tech, right?
Yeah.
You are going into like people's most intimate spaces, right? Their homes, right? And entertainment is huge to people,
Right.
and so you were a consummate professional in being able to problem solve at that point in time, to see, to hear, to be able to problem solve with individuals there, and then kind of moving that thread through in different seats that you have been at and different positions that you have been at and careers. You're constantly doing that. So I agree, Adam.
Thanks.
That is your superpower. Bam, bam.
Yes.
Nice.
Well, thanks for helping me get there.
So good. No, it was good. We were just kind of talking through it. Hey, I just write out the multiple questions. We're just having a conversation. So what role has the community played in supporting your journey and keeping you grounded? So you have been, I don't know, born, but raised in the community raised in the community that you still reside in, that you've raised your babies in, that you have worked adjacent to and in, your wife has. So, and then you continue to give back in that community. Right. So within that, what role would you feel that the community has played. So lots of times you said, you weren't so much accessing the community in your early years, right? But now fast forward to where you now have been in some roles.
Yeah.
How does the community serve you?
Yeah, so I think early on, I benefited tremendously from the community. It just didn't necessarily register with me yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know early on, I don't think I was necessarily giving back, but I was certainly using the school system for my kids.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were using the lake. We were enjoying kind of the benefits of where we live.
Yes.
I don't know that I recognized it yet or had the ability to give back. For me, I think the first time I felt like I really had an opportunity to give back is when I did run for the school board the first time,
Which is an amazing job, but such a thankless job. And it's such a difficult time that you went through.
Yeah, well, right. So it was COVID,
COVID
right?
time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me sign up for that. So people can yell at me all the time, right?
Yeah, in retrospect.
And you did it.
Yeah, in retrospect, maybe I could have picked a different time.
No,
but,
but still.
But it was the first time where I actively thought to myself, I think I can be helpful here.
Sure.
I saw a situation that I didn't think was going the way that I would want it to go, and I thought that I can be helpful. And I think that was probably the first time.
Yeah.
That was incredibly valuable to me personally because I think that I realized that you actually can have an impact. You actually can put yourself out there and help your community.
And what a
help
role
people you care
model for
about.
your girls.
Yeah, right.
To just see Dad lead and lead in that manner.
Right.
Too.
And of course, Annie was in high school at the time, and so that was fun for me to be able to be involved when she was there.
Of course.
Yeah. And so I think the community kind of shifted from like giving me things, right? Because it certainly did.
Yeah.
And now I feel like what it's giving me is inspiration because now I am at a point in life where I can kind of reflect on everything that it has provided me, and I can look for ways to give back. Because I don't know that it's a conscious decision to be like, this is my community. I think it's one of those things that over time, all of a sudden, you're like, you kind of look around and you're like, oh man, this is my home. Like I said, I wasn't born there, but we moved around a lot when I was a kid, but I've been there since I was a kid. My parents both grew up there. They graduated from Central. My grandparents on both sides lived there. My aunts and uncles and cousins and my kids went to school there. And like you said, Wendy works in the district. And you stop and you kind of look around and you look back and you're like, man, I have just gotten so much out of there. So now I think that community's role for me is just inspiration. Like, how do I say thank you? How do I give back? And, and from a work perspective, how can I share what I know about this community to people who might not, so that we can help add to it and help grow it,
Love it. Love that. It's so good. How do family and any said faith guide your decision making as you navigate your next phase of life?
Yeah. I think I said it already a little bit. It is a luxury, and I know that I can lead with my family first now, right? That's one of the benefits of getting a little bit older and having your kids be a little bit older is that I'm not in survival mode anymore. Now I'm in.
I feel the same way.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's just fun to kind of eyes like wide open, and there's so many places to give in our community and surrounding communities. I feel like I do that here, different state. I do it anywhere I am, but it's like how am I an added value to any space that I'm in, other than just like the workplace.
Right.
But it's pretty exciting.
It is exciting, and I said a little bit earlier, but like I said, I'm able to lead with what is best for my family, and a lot of times it's really little things like. Mo is at she's at Central right now, right? She's a sophomore.
I can't believe it already.
I know, right?
I just remember these little squirts like on the swim deck. You know what I mean?
I think
little fish jumping in the water.
I feel like I might have taken her in like the car carrier you
might have, yes.
I might have.
Yeah.
But like, I drive her to school every day. That's a really small thing.
And that's like a luxury though. Doesn't that feel that?
But that's what I'm saying.
Starting her day.
Yeah. Like, that's a big deal. It's a tiny deal, but that's a big deal. I drive her every day.
Sweet.
I started doing, I do therapy with Annie. right? We do therapy together. It's Tuesday afternoons, right?
Oh, that's lovely.
I
You
couldn't
couldn't
do
do that
in my
before.
old life. I
Yes.
couldn't drive Mo to school in my old life.
Yes.
Wendy had an eye thing this week and couldn't drive. No, I drove her to all of her doctor's appointments.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like
It's special.
now, like those little things, those are everything to me now. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so how does family kind of come into making these decisions? Like it's the first 10 things that I think about, right?
Yep.
Everything else I try to build around that, you know. And then faith, you know, my faith definition might be a little bit different than some, you know. I've gotten into so, you know, one of the things that like making this change in life has allowed me is just kind of the capacity to like explore some new things. And I mean like literally like just like read books, for example. That's something I didn't do for a long time, you know. And so I've gotten
This is a super quick read. It's less than an hour. It's really just a guide.
I got all sorts of things. I'll read it on the way
It's
home.
your party favorite. It's like Oprah. Everybody gets a book.
You know, and so so I've gotten really into this idea, or not an idea. Really gotten into like the philosophy of Stoicism, right?
Okay.
And one of and now I'm not good at it, right? And it's definitely something you have to practice, and I have to remind myself all the time. So don't get me wrong, I'm not an expert.
Give yourself grace.
All right? You're right.
Grace. Yeah.
All right. I just want you. I'm not an expert on it, but one of the things that I find fascinating about it, you know, is you know they you know it's been around since like BC, right? The philosophy. So. They called it logos, right? And that was just kind of their term for the universe, right? They didn't necessarily believe in like God per se. I mean, they were around before Jesus, so that would have made the whole thing, you know, like Christianity didn't exist, right?
Sure.
And so, and again, I'm not an expert, so don't take this as a lesson. But they just believed in like the universe and like the order of the universe. And so when you talk about faith, like I'm fascinated by the idea that the universe, whatever that means to you, right? That the universe kind of has an order, and our role is to just fit into that order and be the best people we can be, right? Treat people as well as we can treat them, and kind of let things take care of themselves, right? And so maybe that's faith. You call that whatever you want, but that's kind of my perspective on things. Is I try to do the right thing. I try to be as good as I can be, and then try to let the universe kind of sort things out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I like that. I like that. So what part of this current chapter feels most alive to you?
The current chapter?
Yeah. Like
Oh man.
the current
Yeah.
where Adam is now. Like what part, what bucket, or maybe it's multiple buckets. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your thought?
Well, I would tell you that this stage of life is the happiest that I've ever been. And so, you know, I think it's hard to maybe pinpoint exactly what that is. You know, I feel like I've been able to get a completely new perspective on life, right? Like
Yeah.
all of it. Like I feel like
Yeah.
I was able to go from just trying to survive to like really being able to look around and appreciate all these little things and just how amazing things are and just how fortunate I am to be part of it.
What a gift to give yourself.
Right.
Some people never get there.
Right.
Some people never get there.
Right.
I always say like my husband's death, and I always thought like we were doing that. We were both public servants, you know, all the things. We were doing all the things, right? And it wasn't until after his death that like perspective on life completely changed. And I learned how to find joy in that because I feel like I was with my best friend and I had an amazing partner and dad and all the things that like some people never have that. Like
Right.
some people never experience
Right.
true love. Like just the kinship, you know, similar to how like what you're explaining,
Yeah.
like he was that person with me
Yeah.
as Wendy is with you. But it also made me change perspective. But instead of being like sour, I wasn't. I was like, let's get after it.
Right.
Like, what else can I do? Like, for me and my faith, it was like he's called home for another assignment. But
Okay.
I was blessed to have him here with me for 22 years. Like
Right.
that was so cool.
Right.
But I feel like a little bit of that, and like your 2.0 that you're like how you see, like your eyes are wide open for that way. I feel like in that pinnacle time that was so public for us just because we were public servants that it was like, all right, you got a choice, you know what I mean? But it was just like the way I looked at it, and I was never fearful of anything ever.
Yeah.
Like, again, it was like, go get it. And I like that with my daughter, like, go get it, girl. Or even my son, like, you want to try something new? Try something new. What do you want to do? Like, and unless you truly feel like, okay, this is like the space I'm supposed to be in, because that I've always had since I was a kid.
Okay.
But it was like after, it was like I felt like my read was even better on that. Yeah, which was so cool.
Yeah.
And like no, you know, it would just be like, okay, next thing. Like, what is it?
Right.
But I feel a little of that in this conversation, just in the sense that you're like, hey, like how you're seeing things differently, and these little moments that mean so much, and the things that maybe you would have missed on. I feel like you are given a gift from the universe in the sense of like you took that chance, you took that leap.
Yeah. No,
Love that for you.
Yeah.
So what has been a pivot point in your journey, and you can pick anywhere, where you had to choose a new direction with grace? Because I feel like we get faced with them all throughout our lives.
I think we do.
You can't get to this like age of our life without having them personally and professionally, you know, friendships, relationships, work, volunteerism, any of those things. But like, when would you say has been a pivot point where you've been like, hey, I'm going to go a new direction?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of hit on it there. I mean, the obvious one for me, the most impactful one was leaving a 29-year career. Obviously, right? Like that was the one that it took me years to get there, right?
Yeah.
And I felt, frankly, like I didn't actually have a choice, right? Like I was just stuck. And again, it sounds super dramatic. But
I think some people, I think that's part of like our upbringing, though, right?
Oh, for sure.
Because I think people around us, there was this scarcity. So it was like, no, you pick what you're going to do, and that's what you're doing forever.
Right.
And if you leave that, whoa, you know,
well, it's
where it's kind of like, like what will the earth shatter? I don't know. But like we're kind of built to believe that.
Absolutely, yeah. And I said I can't. You know, how many times I said I want to, but I can't.
Yeah.
I just can't. I just can't. You know.
Yeah.
And then you finally do. You finally make that pivot. You make that choice.
Yeah.
And like you said, you wake up the next day and like the world's the same.
You're
you
like,
know what I mean?
On the ground.
Yeah.
I can
like,
still put my pants on one leg at a time.
Okay. So like everything's basically the same. I just have a different job. I'm like, well, that's not that scary, you know?
Yeah.
And so obviously like the practical result of that is a big deal, but also just kind of like the theoretical, like the fact that like now it's easy. Like the second time now, and I've already done that, you know, in less than a couple of years. I've already pivoted a couple of times in my new career because I'm able to recognize now, like, you know, this isn't quite working. I can make a change. You know why? Because I made that big one over there. I can make this little one. This is not that big of a deal. You know? And I've already done that several times. So you know, for me, obviously, the big one was the first one. And I think once you get that one out of the way and you realize what you're capable of, and like you said, that the world does, in fact, continue to just go on, right? It's not that bad. I'm like, what the heck was I?
Right.
what was I so afraid of for all those years?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
It's exciting. So do you feel like you like infuse this in conversations with your daughters at all as they're like growing and going through life?
Yeah,
okay. Because I feel like I've done that too in my parenting. But like, what is that like with you? With your dad hat on, chatting with either one of them?
It's been real interesting, and I don't feel great about this. You know, my girls are almost 7 years apart, right?
Yeah, my Abby and Jack are 5.5. I remember we would talk about that sometimes.
We're pretty similar.
Yeah.
I feel like my girls got very different experiences with me. You know, so for Mo, you know, who's still in high school, I absolutely think that she picks up on this version of me, because this version of me, right, has been around now for almost a couple of years, and it's been a good chunk of like her life. Annie, unfortunately, I think got a lot of the worst of me, but we're working through that.
And
now.
You have open conversation, which doesn't happen. I mean, because I mean, people very near and dear to me where it's just like the curtain drops and they don't have the opportunity do that from one side or the other. And so, I mean, there's poetic justice in the ability that you guys have that together and to do that. And, you know, nobody hands us a rule book as parents, right? I mean, we're growing up ourselves.
100%.
And then we have these like humans, holy ours, that we're like, like I would say, because I remember, you know, in my 20s, some angst against, you know, my parents and things like that. But I'm just like, I figured out how to give them grace and time because I'm like, they were young. They didn't know what they were doing. And then they were told to parent. I mean, my daughter now, at that point, my mom, I was already one. And I was like, what? And I look at her and I was like, and she's an amazing kid, but I was like, there's no way right now. You know what I mean? But that's awesome that you can give grace. And that you can be present together to have those conversations and to know, like, we can only move forward. How can we be better together? And to own that.
And it's been amazing, and we're working at it, right?
Right.
But it's
just like marriage. It's just like other friendships. I mean, and there's a level of like transaction in any relationship you have, you know. And so but are you going to put in the work to do it? Right.
But so just to have the capacity, right? The time.
Bandwidth. Like you have bandwidth now.
The fact that I can't, you know, I've had that thought that sometimes I wonder if all of this was actually for that. You know what I mean? Just to get to that point where you can do that.
Some of your journey and whatever your connection is with the universe. Because, I mean, I believe those paths are already set for us. You know, it's just like, all right, listen to it or not. I mean, you're still going to get, it's all already pathed out there. So for me, it's the faith of like, okay, the next thing. That's why I don't have fear. It's like, okay, whatever's next and it's going to come my way. I mean, this whole podcasting thing came about where it's like, it kept being presented in different ways. And it was kind of, I think, the right time and right space and right person that said, give it a try. But how neat to be like across the table from you and others that we've shared certain pieces of our journeys together and to be like, we can have that real conversation. You know, we're not like flashy movie stars or anything, but like not yet. But we're like, we're the real people that it's happening for. And I think that is the mainstream of people sitting and having the conversation. So I really appreciate that. This is fun. So as we go to close, I always ask this question. And so it's however you want to take it. But if someone listening feels ready for their own life 2.0, what encouragement would you offer about taking that leap with both purpose and joy?
You know, I guess I would say if you're kind of on that path, you'll know when it's the right time, and you just have to believe yourself. You know, you have to trust yourself when you know what the right thing to do is. So I would just say, listen to yourself. Also know that you're probably going to lie to yourself. Like part of you is going to say, well, it's the right time, but you can't. Right?
Yeah, it's the imposter. Imposter syndrome.
You have to be able to filter that out and listen to like your true kind of inner voice. And when it's the right time, you know, just do it. Because I thought my world has changed, but I thought leaving that job was going to be like, I thought the company I worked for would have to close down because I was so wonderful they could never go on without me.
No,
like, you know what I mean? Like
the lights go on, the show goes on.
They replaced me. Replaced me the next day. It was no big deal.
That's just how it is. But people die at their job for that, and you weren't that guy that Wendy had to get the call, and you were in the office. So kudos to you for that.
So just know that it's not. Just know it's not going to be that big of a deal. You know, listen to yourself. Do it. Life is going to go on. You're going to be fine.
Yes.
And I said it once already, but the advice I give now whenever I can is don't wish away that time. If you find yourself wishing that you could just fast forward to get out of this point of life that you're in, don't do that. Like this is it, man. Like this moment that we've got right now, this is it, right?
Yeah.
Past already happened. The future isn't guaranteed. We got like this.
Be present
moment.
For the now.
Be
present for the now.
This is it, and you gotta let yourself live there. You gotta be able to get there. So.
Great advice. That's a great closer. That's really great. Well, thank you for being with me today. I really appreciate it. This was a great conversation. So I look forward to continuing to watch you evolve. And thank you.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. All right. That's a wrap. We'll see you next time on Just Kimbely.